This episode is dedicated to remembering those in our Coast Guard Rescue Swimmer Brotherhood who have lost their lives. Men and women we have served with, trained with, and will never forget. Through these episodes, we aim to share their stories, preserve their memory, and recognize the difference they made in our lives and the lives of others. Their service and sacrifice will never be forgotten. The goal remains the same, so others may live. Welcome to the Real ResQ Podcast. Real voices, real stories, from those called to step forward on someone's worst day. If you get a chance, go to therealresq.com and check out the growing list of partners offering exclusive deals just for our audience. Save some money while supporting the companies that support our community. Now, up next, we have some wonderful stories from our lost brother's widow, as well as our finned brothers to help remember United States Coast Guard Rescue Swimmer number 445, Mr. Mike Rinaldi. My name is Jason Quinn. I am United States Coast Guard Rescue Swimmer number 500. These are my rescues and rescues from those of us that put our lives on the line every day so others may live. This is the Real ResQ Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Real ResQ Podcast, where I am honored to recognize and remember one of our finned brothers, United States Coast Guard Rescue Swimmer number 445, Mr. Mike Rinaldi. He was born March 18th, 1974, lived in Northfield, Minnesota, loved playing hockey, riding motorcycles, lifting weights, and being a swimmer. And there's a couple people here that are here to help remember him. We're going to start with his widow, Miss Aggie. We got the shop chief with us, Brad Torrance, rescue swimmer number 114. We got Harold Hoffmaster, rescue swimmer number 230. Scott Holloway, rescue swimmer number 387. And Mike Stollard, rescue swimmer number 460. Hey, thank you guys so much for coming on and doing this with me. I really appreciate it. I love taking the opportunity to really remember those that not only have lost from the swimmer world, but they made an impact to all of us in one way or another. And I like doing this because we have such a small, tight group of swimmers. I don't ever want anybody to be forgotten. So I really appreciate you guys coming on. I'm going to come to Harold first because, Harold, you actually have something that was written to you from Mike's brother.
Yes. So I've been in touch with Brian Rinaldi, that's his brother, and he's not the type to want to come on the screen, he said, but he asked if I could read this. So, all right. Our parents moved the family from New York to Minnesota when Mike was about 3 years old. They thought correctly that it would be a great place to raise a family. As soon as we arrived, my dad started working as many as 3 jobs at a time, and after a few years, he was able to buy a small red hobby farm just outside the town of Northfield. That was where we spent the majority of our childhood. Our dad, also named Mike, and who we called Pops, was a great provider and father figure to both of us. He raised us through example. I saw a lot of that same hard-working characteristics Pops had carried over to my brother Mike. Our mother, June, was the one who taught us the importance of family. That loving caretaker side of Mike's comes from her. Mom recently told me her number one goal was to give her kids a good life. I know Mike would agree with me when I say she had done that and much more. Mom was the one who made our house a loving home. She was there for us in every way. She was our support system. Mom did have a tough go at it with Mike early on, though. He could be feisty and difficult at times, but his love for her and love for him never wavered. I watched the relationship grow as strong as any. By the time he was a frogman in the Coast Guard, I had never seen them closer. Mike absolutely loved his mom and dad. Hockey was a huge part of Mike's life. He put on goalie pads almost immediately after joining the sport. He played goalie from around age 6 or so and never seemed to not play goalie, as he ended up playing goalie during Coast Guard years. He played varsity hockey in high school, and we all remember him for being lightning fast in the net. He could go from one goal post to the other in a split second. At the start of his games, I remember watching Mike bust out of the locker room, leading his team onto the ice. He'd fly past me, making sure I got a tap on the glove along the way. He looked so freaking cool in his maroon and gold gear. the school band playing, and the cheerleaders cheering. My son Braden now plays hockey in that same arena, and he comes busting down that same hallway that his Uncle Mike did years ago. One thing I remember about watching Mike's hockey games was during warm-up, he'd skate over to the opposing goalie, tap their pads, and wish them luck. He did that before every game. It's who he was. He cared about everyone all the time. When we were young, my dad bought us a three-wheeler for Christmas one year, and we drove that thing all over the countryside. It was Mike's first taste of freedom until he was old enough to get a driver's license in a car. Mike used to drive that thing up, out of the ditch, and into the air and over the entire driveway. We would tie a plastic sled to it and wing each other around in the fields. Once he got his driver's license, Mike was known to take our parents' 4x4 red Ford Bronco out to do some ditch hopping in snowbanks and whatever else he could find. Although our parents didn't find out about that until years later. Mike's best friend was Walker Edmonds. He told me a story at a time the two of them drove a Bronco to the local college soccer field to do some donuts tearing up the grass, while Walker laying on the front of the hood holding onto it for dear life. The game was to see if Mike could shake him off. Walker said shortly after campus security pulled them over and asked her if they knew anything about the torn up fields. Somehow they were able to convince the guy that they knew nothing about it. My brother was the absolute greatest older brother I could have ever had. As kids, we did fight a bit, but they were always over quickly, and by the time we were both in high school, I honestly don't think we've ever had an argument or a fight or anything ever again. As kids, it almost seemed like Mike thought it to be his job and as an older brother to toughen me up. He was more of a protector than a mean older brother, so he could never go too far in that sense. He did punch a kid in the nose one time for messing with me on the bus. My parents were proud of him even after the school suspension. We grew up playing in the barns, making hay forts. We always had dogs, played outside during summer and winters. We were kind of farm boys. We had a few cows, chickens, and turkeys. We had apple trees, and we used the apples as weapons and garbage can lids as shields as we battled it out. One summer day, I watched Mike shoot a bird off the telephone wire with his BB gun. The bird fell to the ground and died. We both walked over and looked down at it. That was the end of Mike's hunting career. He felt so bad, he never did anything like that again. Mike was a living angel, and now he looks down on all of us, all the ones he loved. Thank you so much for doing this for my brother Mike. It means so much to me and to many of us. We love him deeply. Thanks, Brian.
Oh, man. Thank you so much, Harold. That's awesome. Just a glimpse into his childhood. Amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Brian, thank you. Shout out to him for writing that. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
That was
Right,
really
Aggie.
good.
That was awesome,
I
Brian.
Nice.
I got to come to you now, Aggie. So you're going to be the kind of the next in line. So you and Mike get to meet together while you're in the Coast Guard, because you are a Coastie as well, or a prior Coastie veteran. So thank you for your service. That's awesome.
Sure.
So let's bring it into that. How did you meet him, and what brought you guys together?
Sure. So I got stationed on the Tahoma, Never Homa, in New Bedford, Massachusetts. And Mike had
It's
already been on
pronounced
there.
New Bedford.
New Bedford, sorry, yeah. But he had already been there for a while because he was on the rescue swimmer list for it was like really long at that time. And it was taking a long time to get to school. So he was almost done, but I got there and he was like in some woman haters club where they just swore off women. They're like, yeah, girls suck. So, and then but he was in charge. He was like the leading seaman. And then I'm like, he had to give me a job to do. So he made me go down in like the bosun hole, whatever. And he's like, all these like things that are heavy, take them off, paint all of it, and then put them all back up. And I'm like, okay, I will. And because I guess it was a test. Like later on, he told me, like, I wanted to see if you would do it or if you're going to cry like a girl and say, wow, I can't do this. So I did it all. There's only one like thing I couldn't hang back up because like it was so heavy. But he was impressed. And then he came out of the women haters club and started dating. And then he got stationed in Wisconsin.
Oh,
And
wow.
then we just had a long distance. Yeah, he got, because the list was still not moving. So after 2 years of being on the list, he was still waiting. So he had to get stationed somewhere else. He got a small boat station in Wisconsin. I forget the name of the town, but it was small. That's all I remember, is it being like nothing really happening over there. And it was cold. But so we just had a long distance relationship. And then he finally went to school. And
Yep.
in 97. And we got married in October of 97. Like I said, he did all of the planning for it. I didn't do any of it. And this is before like most online things. So he did all the footwork, found a house for us to rent so everyone could stay in. And we got married on the beach. So he had to get a pastor to come and marry us on the beach and everything. I just basically showed up. I didn't do anything. I was like not a bridezilla at all. Like I just was like, okay, take care of it all and I'll just show up. He reserved a restaurant for us and all that. And the poor guy is just going through hell at swimmer school. And he's telling me, the one day he said how bad it was. It had to be bad if he was just, he was almost broken that one day. He was just like, damn, I don't know if this is going to work. But, that just shows how he is. Like, also, like, he can go through all that. And then he's like, okay, I got to plan a wedding because she said so. So, and he did. And it was great. It was beautiful. And then he graduated and we ended up in Jersey.
That's awesome. When he is literally going through swimmer school, A school, getting his butt kicked and planning for you to show up for a little wedding, renting a house, which all his brothers in school are getting together to, and they're all going to have a good time. I imagine it was on a weekend.
Beautiful house.
Just because. Yeah.
It was a beautiful house on the beach, 3 stories, had an elevator, had a pool table. That's literally where we walked out of that house. I walked down like the little walkway they had down to the beach, and that's where we got married at the end of this house.
Awesome.
And then he just kind of told people like, hey, I'm getting married on the weekend if you guys want to come over. So we came back from like the restaurant having our after getting married dinner, and there's just people there. And I don't know who they were, but Mike was like, oh, hey, everybody. And everyone's just playing pool and good times. So, yeah, you could tell it was like a brotherhood and everyone, it was really great.
Oh, my God.
I couldn't even plan my next meal at school. I can't imagine planning a wedding.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, for me, it was like a day-to-day thing. Like, what am I planning for tomorrow? I don't know. Let's just get through morning. Wait, when's pool day and when's grinder day? Okay, I got to get through that, and then I can plan. That's what I remember. Oh, my God.
And this is before, like, Airbnbs online or anything like that. So everything was just, he had to drive everywhere, call people, do a lot of footwork for all this. Poor guy. Poor guy.
Oh, man, good for him. And a major congratulations to him because he graduated, again, as rescue swimmer number 445 on officially December 5th, 1997. Man, that is awesome. All right, from there, you guys go to Cape May, New Jersey, where you guys come in. Yeah. All right, so Brad and Hoff, let's see. Brad, you were the shop chief. Hoff, you were the first class?
Yes.
Okay, and Scott, you were there as third or second?
I got there as a third, and I made second. So yeah, Chief was Brad was top chief, and Rick Gladys was the first class. And
all right.
Sean Mogan was there, Scott Harris, Joe Camp. Nice small show.
It's perfect. All right, and then Mike, you came in a little later, right? Because you graduated in '98, so did you go to Cape May as well, or did you go right up to Atlantic City?
I went straight to Atlantic City. Yep.
All right, so I'm gonna bring you in a little bit. In a little bit, let's get a couple stories from these guys, and then we'll bring you into it. So, Brad, Hoff, and Scott, tell me about Mike and what it was like for him in the shop when he showed up as a brand new swimmer.
Brand new swimmer, yeah. We had a really tight shop. Everybody got along. Everybody worked hard. Everybody learned hard, PT'd hard. Cape May was crazy busy in the summertime and kind of slack in the winter for SAR, fishermen and duck hunters. And Mike showed up, and he was a go-getter. There was no doubt about it. He very organized, very efficient, super nice guy. I said he's gonna go up fast. He's gonna make great fast. Learned a lot. He wanted to learn. I didn't know a whole lot about him and Aggie and his personal life. Being the shop chief, it wasn't like that. We did the shop stuff together, but other than that, Mike was just an incredible guy.
Right on. Harold, what do you remember?
His smile, I mean, no matter how annoyed you could get when he had that freaking smile, he gave you that little toothy smile, it almost pissed you off because he was so happy. Like, you're right now. But just one of the things that I know that when he was still going through his cancer treatment, we were all doing pull-ups, and because we started doing a pyramid of pull-ups, so we 1 through 10 and back down through 10 and try that. And I remember doing it, and he would beat me every time, and he'd always say, "Oh, look, Cancer Boy's beating you, Cancer Boy." So with him, you joke about everything with him. I think that was one of the greatest attributes about him, is that he didn't get offended, and he could give and take, and he was a riot like that. But he would just come in, and even when he was upset, it wouldn't last long. There were some times, you're in the shop, you're going to get upset and everything, but he just had such a great attitude.
That's cool. I like that. All right, Scott, I got to bring it to you because you guys are now like third, second. You guys are the worker bees of the shop, getting told what to do by Brad and Hoff. Like, what's up?
No, he was really eager to get qualified, and then he would pull hey, if you want me to take your duty or take a swim flight, after you got qualified, the usual. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen, Mike. But he was one thing I really remember about Mike is when he got really excited, his freaking voice would go up like 10 octaves, and front of him so much over that. It's like you'd say something to him, he'd like, well, what do you mean? And then we'd mock him, copy him, and he'd get pissed off for a second, but then he'd laugh. But I remember, when you talk about hockey, we used to play in the Coast Guard hockey tournament all the time, every year in Massachusetts, and we lost our goalie, and he ended up getting out a guy named Jim Carpinelli, and then Mike's like, I play goalie. Like, okay. And we started, playing with him, and it was just incredible how much, how good of a goalie he was. I mean, I swear to God, the guy could do a split. I don't know many guys that could do split, but he was like incredible playing hockey, and he loved it to death too. But we had such a good time, and that's one of the years that we won the championship, and it was because of him that year, because we won it. We won it in Cape May like 6 years in a row, and every year, we started losing people, and I didn't think that we were going to win it that year, and the only reason why we did win is because Mike being in goalie, he really kept us. And matter of fact, after he passed, they made a Mike Rinaldi MVP award for the hockey tournament.
Oh, no way! Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'd love to know where the plaque is, but Mike was just incredible goalie.
Oh, that's awesome.
MVP award, it's really cool. I used to just stare at it. I remember going to the rink and looking at it, and I really, really wanted to win it, but it was never good enough to win it, because, it was very sentimental value. There was only a few of us that knew him, after a while, and
yeah.
I don't know. It's very special playing with him and having that MVP award named after him.
Oh, that's super cool, man. I like that. I like hearing that. I got to come to you now. You're the wife at home, hearing Mike getting qualified, going through all the steps to do that. What stands out to you like when he's coming home? Because here's what I remember, and why I'm saying this is that I remember going through my qualification. Every step I was excited about, and I would come home. I'd be like, "Oh my God, this is what we did today. This is what I'm going flying tomorrow. I get to stay on duty." It's like I was all amped up. What was he like coming home?
He's always happy, just like they said. Like, he's always excited, always happy. He loved the swimmer shop. He loved the guys. I was always just really hearing a lot of stories about the guys and like funny shit that they're doing, like in the shop. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, you guys do that? Like, what is happening over there? But I mean, there's a story once, like you said, like SAR cases. I don't remember really any of those, but one where with a boogie board that he saved. It was like a training that they were doing. I don't know who the pilots were or anything, but he was on a training.
That was in Gabretz,
I don't
right?
know. Yeah, and they were out in the helicopter, and somebody spotted a boogie board floating in the ocean. They're like, "Let's go get it." And he's like, "Okay, Mike, you go rescue the boogie board." So they lowered Mike down, and he grabbed this boogie board from the ocean. And now let me preface this with saying that he hates spinny rides. They make him nauseous. So as they're hoisting him up, the boogie board caught the wind, whatever, the rotor wash. And it's like, have you ever seen that video of the hiker that got lost, that was getting hoisted up in like that like basket that you guys put them in, and it just was going like this? So apparently this is him with the boogie board. So they can't keep hoisting him, and they're just flying with him, like spinning like this. And he's like, "Mother effers, like, get me up." And they're just laughing in the helo. And finally they get him up, and he's like, "Here's your stupid boogie board." And he's just like feeling like he's going to throw up everywhere because he's just been spinning, and he's like, "Nobody talk to me." I think that's probably the most unhappy he's been, probably because he hated those things and he hated feeling like that. But it was still, he come home and thought it was like the funniest story.
Oh
He
my
was just
God, that's
laughing
great.
about it. Yeah. The guys were always, just messing with each other. And he'd be like, "Man, let me tell you what Scott did today." And he'd like tell stories about Scott. And
Oh, there's a few of those.
yeah, he won't. I just say that there were stories and they made me laugh. And I know that he's like when he had his cancer and after his surgery, he went to the shop the first time. They hadn't seen him yet since his surgery. And he thought of a great idea. He had like this little voice recorder that was very small. And he recorded himself saying, "Hi, how are you? I'm good." As he would expect people to ask him, like, "Oh, hi, how are you doing?" And he could change it to sound like a robotic voice. So he recorded himself, and then he walked into the shop, with his he's got the bandages on his throat and everything because he had thyroid cancer. And I think it was Beecham who was like, "Oh, Mike, hey, how you doing?" And he's like, "Hi, I'm fine." And it wasn't really his voice. So
I 100% remember that.
he said he came back to the car and he was cracking up. He's like, "You should have seen Beecham's eyes. They were like, oh my God." Because he's just like talking like a robot. But, that's like in all good fun. Like, that's what he liked to do.
Yeah.
Like, have fun with the guys like that, like mess around. He was always joking, and he always having a
that's
good
awesome.
time.
You guys have mentioned a couple times, like he got diagnosed with cancer. When did that come into play? Was he already qualified as a swimmer and standing duty, and then he noticed something, or?
A doctor noticed it. He went for a physical, and the doctor noticed like his neck was a little bit thick, like, maybe a little bit bigger than what it should be.
Yeah.
And they sent him for a test, and it turned out he had thyroid cancer.
Oh my gosh.
So that was in December of 98, or 99, I forget. 99, December of 99. But he had like 15-hour surgery at the VA hospital, and then he had to have some special radiation done. It took him out, just like he couldn't do a lot like swimming and stuff like that because the surgery was all right here, so he couldn't like do a lot of the movement. So that took him out of the shop for a while.
Wow.
With doing anything like that. Yeah. But then he was, he got cured. And so he was good to go.
Nice. All right. So let's back up before then. And I'll bring you back into the mix there, Mike. You can come back now. All right.
Okay.
So for you guys, what stories stand out to you guys while he was in the shop prior to finding out that he got diagnosed?
I just distinctly remember him. We were both third class together. I came in after him about a year, and he was just very receptive to my needs and just outgoing guy that was willing to help you in any way he could. So that stands out in my mind the most, how friendly he was. And we ended up, being pretty close friends and working out a lot together on our off time, going to the gym. There was a gym down the street. We'd go down there and lift a lot. I distinctly remember like spotting him on the bench press, and he had like a lazy eye, and it would like when he really was pushing heavy weight, it would kind of go sideways. It was fun. He'd laugh about it too. I don't know.
Is that
There's
one
a
of the things
lot
you
of
look at him, you're like, bro, what are you looking at?
good.
Push the weight.
We had some SAR case. We had one SAR case together
Oh,
where we
that's
were.
cool.
Yep, I was in Gabretsky for the 2-week stay, and he was in Atlantic City. And we ended up staying in duty on the same day, and there was a commercial diver offshore about halfway in between both of our units, and he got there first on scene and got lowered down to the boat and stabilized the diver into a litter, our litter, and then we showed up, and it was, I guess the pilots determined it was more efficient for us to hoist him right to our plane and boogie up to the hospital versus going with his original helicopter. And we took him up to Long Island, but that was kind of neat that we had the same SAR case together.
Yeah, that is cool. He went down and packed his
Yeah.
patient up, set you up for success, and said, "Good luck. See you later, dude."
Yeah.
You get
Yeah,
the rest of the
pretty
work. Wow.
That's right.
Now, out of curiosity, with that in particular rescue, is that because the first helicopter had to go get fuel, so they needed the second helicopter to show up, i.e., you?
I think it was more that we were closer to a hospital than they were going back to Atlantic City. I think the range, it was, I don't know how they got there first, if that's the case, but it turned out, I think that we were closer inclined to the hospital.
Right on. Hey, right on. Hey, whatever works. I love the fact that that happened. I've only had that happen one other time where I remember distinctly being in the helicopter and looking down at Tim Adams while he's on a boat with like doing dewatering pump. I'm like, "What's up, Tim? How you doing?" And then we leave. So I can relate to you, Mike.
Yeah, it's a lonely career kind of when you're in the water by yourself. It's fortunate to have another body helping you.
Yeah, for sure.
That's one less
Yep.
chance of you getting bitten by a shark, right?
That's right.
That's
Yeah. I don't have to swim fast. I just got to swim faster than you. Right up until you grab a fit and you get back here. Where are you going? Man, that's good. Brad, from your side of it, I know you're the shop chief, and like just having Mike Rinaldi run around and cause mayhem with Mike Stollard over there. I get it. Third class, like I was there. How was that for you? Was it pretty?
There's no mayhem.
No mayhem? Oh, nice. Well, that's good.
See, the thing about being the shop chief is the first, make sure the shop chief doesn't find out.
Good job, Harold.
That's the bottom line. Yeah, nice job, Harold. So years later, like now, then I find out this stuff. But yeah, it's we just had a good shop. I mean, we just everybody worked together, had a good time, played hanger hockey in the winter.
And it was a brand new station too, so it was a brand new facility, brand new station,
Oh yeah.
brand new locker room.
Oh yeah, in Atlantic City,
Oh,
yeah.
that's awesome.
Actually, Chief had his own locker room, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they had the locker room. It was set for, dual, both sexes. So the female locker room, we didn't have any female,
nice.
so I have my own locker room.
You remember the soft balls we used to throw at each other? The little like stuffing balls? I don't know what you call them.
Yeah, I don't
Like
think you threw him too much at Chief, but you threw him a lot at me. Hey, I think we used to, like, when we had a meeting, I think we used to, like, if we had a little shop meeting or something, we'd have the ball, and if you had the ball, that's when you would speak, because if not, someone was going to whip the ball at your head. You're not paying attention, you throw it at them. And they were soft, but they hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, the water's soft too until you hit it.
I heard about those balls too. Yeah.
I have one for we trained FBI from New York City, the aviation guys from New York City came down, and we took them to the pool in Cape May at boot camp. So we took them down there. You remember this, Mike? We trained them on egress, and we put them through a whole bunch of stuff. We actually I think we took them out, and they didn't deploy, but we hoisted them. So we ran them through, so whenever they fly, they'd be safe. And I remember, to thank us, they did a presentation for us, and they gave us all the coffee mugs that had FBI our name on them. But they also took us to dinner at Cape May, or it was a lunch at Cape May. And I remember we all were like, oh, we don't want to get too much food. We'll just get this and that. But I remember Michael was like, Mike Hubbard, I think that guy's name was, the head of the FBI. He said, guys, get whatever you want. It's on us. And I just remember Mike Rinaldi looking at that menu going, and I think it was like at the time, this was long ago, it was like a $10 milkshake or something. He's like, well, I'm getting this. He was so excited to get like this milkshake out of it. That sticks out in my head for some reason. Like, everybody else was like being real like, oh, okay, yeah, no thanks. And he was like, oh, cool.
Hey, everybody's got water except for Rinaldi. I'll take a milkshake, the $10 milkshake. Thank you.
I think that was after I was transferred.
We were having to give them training, so it was a great time. So
we did those Army guys. Remember that Army guys in Cape May? They were impressed.
Hey, Brad, you remember the time showed up to work in Atlantic City, and you're like, Scott, Mike, and Beach, go put your wetsuits on. And we're like, why? You're like, just go put your friggin' wetsuits on. So we all put different wetsuits on, and like, all right, grab your gear and go out to the helicopter. We walk out to the helicopter, and there was a freaking photographer out there from Henderson.
Oh my God, I remember this. Are you kidding me? This was epic.
Did you see, guys? We took so much shit for that, but Mike, he had a big freaking zit on the back of his neck. And me and Beach rode him like a freaking rented mule, and he took it so good though. He was always such a good freaking sport though. But I just remember that day. It was fun. We had a really good time. I just remember him looking down at his bag. He was holding. I don't know if he was holding his helmet bag or something like that, but he was looking down at it like that, and that's when the guy clicked the picture. But it was us three standing there. I think it was me. Like I said, me, Beach. Back was turned. You could see my big fat ass and sideways. But yeah, we like I said, he had that big zit on his back of his neck. And he gave me so much crap. The photographer's like, man, you guys are dicks.
Yeah, those photos kicked around for some time.
Oh yeah.
You have a more intimate story of his back, though, don't you, Scott?
What's that?
You have a more intimate story of his back, though, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Oh, I can't wait.
So, Mike, were you at the air station for the commissioning ceremony, or were you there yet?
I don't think I was there for that. I think I came afterwards.
All right, so I walk in the locker room one day, and there's like everybody who is at the air station. They had the Coast Guard band playing like a little piano type thing, and a saxophone, and I mean there was all kinds of brass there walking around. And I go into the locker room, and Mike's sitting there with his shirt off, and he's like, "Hey Scott," I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Can you shave my back?" I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Can you shave my back?" I'm like, "All right." So I take the freaking shaving cream and I get it all over his back, and I rub it on and everything. I'm all over his shoulders, and I start shaving him, and then I hear a knock on the door. I'm like, "Come in!" And in walks the commandant of the Coast Guard. He looks at me and he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm shaving Mike's back." He's like, "Oh, okay." And he kind of like shook his head and he laughed and he goes, "Where's the urinal?" I'm like, "Right over there, Admiral." And he walked over, did what he had to do, and I shaved Mike's back. And
you can't make this stuff up.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that was funny. Did he ever tell you about that, Aggie?
Yeah, I think so. Appreciate you, because then I don't have to do it.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing that.
Yeah,
Oh
that
God.
was funny. That was really funny. The admiral walks in.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's epic.
Yep.
So those are the stories that I absolutely love. It's the ones that you will never hear from anybody else. It's that one off. That's what I love.
Yeah, you can't make that stuff up.
No, not even a little bit. Oh my gosh. All right, so now I want to bring it into the spot where Rinaldi gets diagnosed with cancer, and how do you guys in the shop take that news, and how do you help support him?
Well, first of all, let me say I don't remember a whole bunch because remember I'm old and memories,
Uh-huh.
But I will tell you, I know a lot of us, especially me, was like, how is that possible? This kid's a beast. He's just so happy all the time in fitness, and it was a big wake up call. He never made it feel down or at anything. He never. I don't think we ever had to act different around him. He made it as comfortable as he could for us, joking around. But of course, how it goes with cancer, you don't. Me personally, I probably didn't bring it up too much because you think people don't want to talk about it. I mean, come to find out later on, yes, people do want to talk about it. But at the time, we were all we knew about is joking around with each other and having fun, and there was nothing fun about that. But he kept it positive. Like I said, I still do pull-ups today, probably for the reason of him, because he basically called me because he was doing more pull-ups than me. So to this day, I still do them thinking about him like, I gotta get up there, But we all, pulled the duty for him, did what we had to do. And I will tell you, I mean, Aggie could probably test this more, but I'm pretty sure it was hurting him more than anybody about not standing duty. He was trying so hard to get back to standing and helping out, doing the best he could. So, but it probably brought the whole shop closer, if I remember correctly.
Right on.
Yeah, you rallied around him and like supported him and made him feel great. And like even when he had his surgery, he was staying at the hospital. Guys came to visit him, and that definitely lifted his spirits. And he just shocked. He just couldn't wait to get back and to all the guys. And yeah, he couldn't.
I remember we were at Beecham's house, and I think he was having to get together at night, and we were partying a little bit, probably drinking some alcohol. And he had this warrant officer. He was in government housing. This warrant officer, I think, was across the street. You lived in that development, didn't you, Harold?
I did. I know what you're talking about. I remember this, yeah.
Yeah, and Beecham and this warrant officer didn't get along. And something happened, and we're drinking, so people started getting wordy. And Mike was sticking up for somebody or something. I don't remember the specific details. All I remember is I was like, "You can't hit him. He's got cancer." And it didn't really matter that he wasn't feeble, He just I don't know, but it was the shop definitely rallied around him, and he didn't let on to the fact that he had cancer. He didn't let it get the best of him at all. And it's so ironic too, because he was so healthy.
Yeah.
He wasn't a drinker, and he was. I mean, most swimmers are healthy people to begin with, but he was exceptionally healthy guy.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, you're right. It was mind-boggling to us.
Wow. All right, so I'm gonna bring us back to Aggie, and Aggie, I want you to kind of give us a rundown. Is a bit of I don't want to call it like the end, but I want to call it the last. What happened
That night?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he left. He wanted to go to the gym. He asked me to go to the gym with him. And I was like, no, man, it's drizzling out. I don't want to ride in it. But he was excited because it was his first time back on the bike since his since the surgery. And it'd been a while. And he loved his bike. He loved that thing. I was like, no, I'll go for my run and you go take your bike. So I could still see him walking out the door. He backs out of the door wearing his white long sleeve shirt, I had the jeans. I could see it all in my head as he's walking out of my house. And then we went and did our own thing. And then I get home, I get ready for bed, and I'm like, it's so long. But like, he was the type of guy, like if he saw somebody at the gym that he knew, he'd hang out. I was just like, oh, he's probably just like talking with somebody at the gym. I don't know why he's so late. And then I was, wow, he's really like must have gone to the bar or something with somebody. And then, just kind of, and then all of a sudden the phone rings. I'm like, I'm not getting that because it's late, whatever. And it's like some lady, and she's like, hi, this is so-and-so from Atlantic City Hospital. Do you know a Michael Rinaldi? Because we got a Michael Rinaldi here. And I ran to the phone and I'm like, hello, asking what's going on. They're like, hi, do you know Michael Rinaldi? And I'm like, yeah, this is his wife. And they're like, well, he's been in a motorcycle accident and we have him here. And I was asking like, okay, is he okay? Oh, if you could just come down. Like they wouldn't say anything. They wouldn't say whether he was, the injuries or nothing. Just, we'd really like you to come down here. Now, I am at this, like, if you know me, I get lost in paper bags. Like I cannot know my directions. So I don't even know how to get to the hospital. So I call, a friend, Bria Brown, which Aaron Brown's wife, another coastie. Like, can you please help me? I don't know how to get to the hospital. My husband's been in this accident. They said, I really need to get there. I'm freaking out. I don't know how to get there. This is before like GPS. This is like atlases and stuff. So I didn't know where I was. And she came to get me. We went. And I'm just like, it's probably just like, hopefully they'll just say like he's, hurt. A little bit hurt. Very good. Like he's always careful. He went, he's been riding bike since he was a little kid. There's no way. There's no way. Nothing is going on. We get to the hospital. I'm like, hi, I need to, I'm here. Please take me somewhere. Like, where am I going? Where is he? Oh, just come with me. Still, no one is saying anything to me. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, like, please, somebody tell me something. And they took me upstairs to this waiting room that's completely empty. It's just me, Bria. She had brought her daughter with her because she was only, I believe, 2 at the time. So she had, and no one was home. Aaron Brown was in Gabretzky with Mike Stallett and some other guys. And I'm just sitting there and a doctor comes out finally and I'm just looking up at him like, okay, tell me like, what you did and what happened. And he said, you ever guys ever watch, Charlie Brown and you hear the teachers or the adults talking? It's like, wah, 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 wah. So I hear a lot of that until he gets to, he goes, well, basically he bled to death. Because he had got a hole in his vena cava. What they said, like, he had hit his thigh. They said his liver was pulverized and he had a hole, so he just blew out.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm just looking at this man who just, like, everything else was wah-wah, and they're like, he's dead. And I'm like, in my mind just snapped because I'm young still, and yet at this point I hadn't even lost a grandparent. And now they're telling me like my husband is gone. So I just started screaming at the guy that he needs to go fix him. Go back, go fix him. I'm just screaming. And then once the daughter of my friend started crying, then I kind of snapped back a little bit because I feel bad because she's crying. But I have no idea. Now I'm lost. I'm lost. You just told me this guy that we had planned like to together to like our 80s or whatever is just like immediately gone. Like there's no saying goodbye. I mean, I couldn't imagine that this was going to happen. And then I know that they were told Brian Paul, the information was given to the guys over at Gabretzky. So, and from on, I think word just started spreading. Like people just started calling, and that's what happened.
Wow. Thanks for sharing, Aggie. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Gosh.
Yeah, it was definitely devastating, especially a guy that you just, I mean, really, I was like, this is going to be forever. And he's so great and he's such a great person. And the fact that it was just like over, just, I couldn't even believe it. And yeah, I had no word. Like I think about the guy like all the time. I still do. It's, 24 years later and I'm still just, I'll see a motorcycle. he pops into my head. You know, if I see somebody riding one, I also get very nervous when I see, like, if a motorcycle comes riding around me, 'cause I don't want anything bad. I'm always like, oh, please, please. I can't see a motorcycle accident in front of me. I don't think I'd be able to handle it. You know, and I have his picture up in the house still. My kids know about him. You know, I talk about him often. They know, like, they'll ask about him, like, oh, what did he do? You know, what like that? And yeah, he's still very much a part in my life.
That's cool. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
Wow. Harold, for you guys in the shop, and Scott and Mike, what was it like for you guys in the shop?
Horrible. Just obviously devastating. You know, again, it brought us all together again. All the wives, I mean, everyone just shocked. Even like he had, like Aggie said, even people at the gym, you know, if he'd stop and talk to people. So it wasn't just the air station. We used to work for a what they call heart ambulance company, and we transport dialysis patients. So pretty much the whole shop would do that on our own time. And I remember soon after he had passed, I took a ride with one of them. I was driving with some civilian guy, and pretty much the whole night we didn't really talk too much. And towards the end, I started talking about Michael, and I told him how great he was, and I didn't realize how he knew him this well. And then the guy says at the end, he said, I didn't want to really say anything because I didn't know you well enough. He said, but at the time when before Michael had passed, he was stripping and waxing. I know it sounds silly, but every AST shop does this: stripping and waxing the floor. And he said the stories that Mike would tell him and how bad he wanted to do this and make such a shop look so great. Because, you know, we asked him to do it, and he wanted to do it. Yeah. And he said, you know, this is going to sound dumb, but he said how nice he talked about you, about me, about how much he cared about me, how much he wanted to, you know, do a great job for me and everything. And man, that was a horrible ride the rest of the night. We were bawling our eyes out, but he said he wanted to wait to the end to tell that. So it impacted so many other people. And yeah. I have no idea how many other people it impacted. But to this, like when I was leaving, I remember I asked Aggie if she would mind if I took a picture with me. We used to have it hanging in the shop, and I kind of felt bad taking it, but in the same aspect, I never wanted to forget. And I don't know if you remember Aggie, but she told me, she said, yes, you can take it as long as you don't, you know. I think it was something to the fact that don't ever lose it or don't ever just forget about it. And every year, I know it's corny, but every year I try to post something on Facebook, and I still have that picture hanging out in my garage. I see it all the time. I'm in my garage all the time. And I mean, I didn't know him very long, but man, I miss him. He was a good kid. He was just, he was somebody you never forgot, you know? And so it was a huge impact on me. And like I said, I wasn't even as close to him as Mike was. I mean, those guys were like, you know, riding, but you know, our buddies, and even with Aaron. Oh yeah, I got the picture here now. So this one here.
Yeah, that's a great shot.
I still have that all the time. My wife just ran out and got it for me, but I don't think I was as close to him as the rest of the guys even, but still, it still hit me hard. You know.
Yeah. I
probably didn't joke around with him as much as the others, because I had to kind of, you know, make sure, like Brad said, make sure things went right and keep everybody out of trouble. But he was just a great kid, and there was always a joke going on with him. So, awesome. Everyone was devastated about it.
Damn, man. Scott, let me ask you real quick, because like you had mentioned, or when you guys had mentioned, you had other air stations coming down, helping support. You stood down the duty, or at least the air station did, and other guys are coming in. What was their take on it?
I was I had transferred out when Mike got killed. I was at our recruiting office.
Okay.
And it was me and some other bozo. But I'll tell you, I remember the next day, John Williams called me up, and he's like, "Hey brother, what's up?" I'm like, "Hey John." He goes, "Hey, I got some really bad news." I'm like, "What?" He goes, and he just came out and he said it. He goes, "Mike died in a motorcycle crash." I'm like, "Fuck off." That was my reaction. I said, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well," I said, "Let me call you back," because it just didn't click. I friggin' hung up the phone, walked around the office, call him back, and he's, sure thing. I thought I was dreaming, but unfortunately, it wasn't a dream. And then remember going down to the memorial service or funeral, whatever you want to call it, down at the air station, and that's when I was able to really cope with it because, like I said, I was in an office with another boat guy, and I wasn't down with my brothers at the air station, and that's when it really. I remember going down with Rick Laddish and seeing everybody there, and that's when it was really time to mourn, being around all those guys. Yeah. But yeah, that was my take on it. I wasn't able to. I mean, I wanted to go back and stand duty and help the guys out, but wasn't an option.
I gotcha. All right, Mike. So let me bring it to you. So you've got all our fellow brothers and other air stations coming in and helping out, and you as a good close friend to Rinaldi. What was it like for you?
It was horrible. Like Harold was saying, I was in Kabreski when Mike died, and I distinctly remember, I can't remember the flight mechanic's name, but he walked in the door and his eyes were like the size of golf balls, and you could tell right away it wasn't, whatever he was about to say wasn't going to be good. And he said Mike died, and they basically took us off duty status, the whole air station, shut us down. I think they decided that no one was really fit flying, got stressed out. And so we flew back to the air station from Gabretti. We flew back to Atlantic City. And then it was just like Harold was saying, everybody rallied around each other, supportive, and then it just was horrible. It sucked. Definitely, Mike died.
Yeah.
And it was hard. I thought personally, because I had the gym that was coming home from, we regularly went to that gym together, and I could have been with him that night, except the fact that I was in Gabretsky, and it was difficult. It was a long time getting over that. Aggie said, I still think of him on a regular basis, and really good times I had with him, and fortunate that I did get a chance to know him and spend time with him.
That's cool, man.
But the outpouring from the Coast Guard, the larger Coast Guard, was nice. They really did a great tribute to him, and a lot of air stations contributed in covering our area, and just the support and the support. The other Coast Guard units were able to show that how much he impacted the Coast Guard at large, I guess.
Awesome. Right on.
I remember I was at instructor at the ATTC ASTA school, and I just left Atlantic City a year earlier. I'm like, I'm going. They're having this memorial service. It's short fuse. It's like next week or something. I said, I'm going. So what they did was pretty cool. It just impressed me so much of how Mike was respected in the Coast Guard and the aviation, is that Elizabeth City had a Herc, a C-130, took us, whoever wanted to go to service, took us in the C-130, flew us up there, okay? But we had to make a stop. We made a stop in Washington, D.C. So we land in Washington, D.C., and Coast Guard Honor Guard loads up. So there's honor guard guys from, the Coast Guard, our headquarters honor guard guys. And they're all loading up, and we landed at the memorial service. It was incredible. it was you know, still like emotional to me, just like remembering it. There's no a whole lot of fanfare, but there was a lot of fanfare. It's like everybody from who was anybody was there. And the thing is that it's like, he wasn't an admiral that got killed. He was, one of the guys. He was one of us. And it was just totally, it was humbling and amazing and impressive, all one emotion. It was incredible.
I do remember the trip to Saratoga. We all went up there to lay him to rest up there. I remember that.
Oh yeah.
I remember that drive, and yeah, and I just remember laying him to rest there, and he wasn't a very religious man, and so they did have, I think, a pastor there or something to say some words, and it was funny because the sprinklers turned on and hit the pastor in the head. And I think that people that knew that he was into being very religious or, into that, they're like, oh, that's Michael, just saying, like, yeah, whatever,
Right on.
Some things you'd have to laugh at when you could at that time. It's just a very time.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, let me tell you about, story of our dog that we got. It was about 3 months before Mike's passing, but he always wanted a Rottweiler. And I don't know why he was stuck on Rottweiler, but that he just wanted a big teddy bear dog. I'm like, I don't necessarily think of that as a teddy bear, kind of fluffy, fuzzy dog, but cool. All right, get this dog. And so we get this dog, and he named it Corbin after a motorcycle seat, apparently, is the name is from. And we got this little fluffy Rottweiler dog that he loved. I mean, he loved this dog. Unfortunately, he was only 3 months old when it passed. And then I was with a Rottweiler that I had no idea what I was doing. So I was kind of always like, thanks, Mike, because this dog would bite me. The dog would bite me because I had no idea how to train a Rottweiler. I'm like, man, I'm not the one who should be being bit right now. But we had that dog for he lived 7 years. He was a great dog.
Awesome.
He was great to the kids, and he was really great dog.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's awesome.
Like to this day, whenever we see a Rottweiler, it reminds my wife of Michael. We go and visit and everything. And she loved Corbin also. So every time she sees a Rottweiler, it makes her think of Mike Rinaldi.
Well, Corbin really loved her, and I remember the love that he would give her.
There's more to that story too.
But hey, let it ride. Let's go. What is that story all about?
Well, like I said, I don't know much about Rottweilers, and all I know is I was told by a guy who used to breed them, like, don't fix them. Don't fix him for like 2 years. So, okay, because then he won't grow to his full size. I'm like, all right, so I got this dog who's intact and like has all this testosterone running through him. And we'd go visit Jody. I'd bring my dog to socialize, and he would climb on her, like up to her neck, and wrap his paws around her neck like this. So all you could see was her head sticking out. And he would just start going to town on her, and she would just like, Aggie, can you help me? But I was too busy laughing, and I wasn't doing much because I was just dying laughing, and the dog just like,
Bumping her.
Oh, that's hilarious.
They had a yeah.
Brad, you actually mentioned a cool story like about a sticker kind of picking on Mike. What was that all about?
Well, as everybody said before, we used to rotate to Gabreski Air National Guard Base, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. And we actually called it was in West Hampton, Long Island, which is like big money. And so we used to call it the West Hampton Trailer Park because we had like 4 double wides. But so Mike was oncoming. I knew he was next in the rotation to relieve me. So I was a Harley guy, and Mike drove Ninjas or some kind of fast Japanese bike. and we used to tease each other in the shop all the time. And so I bought this sticker at, before the deployment, because I said I knew what I was going to do. So I bought the sticker, and it says, "Friends don't let friends drive rice burners." And so the deployment's over. I'm getting ready to leave, and the last flight, I put the sticker on the panel right by the hoist checklist, where the swimmer seats, you're looking straight up into it. So it's like right in his face. So I stuck that sticker in there. And I was gone. He came on. And it was a long time ago, but I he just laughed about it, because we all had a good joke. And because that's the way, that's the way he was. But it was funny. Yeah, it was good.
Oh, that's great. Hey, thank you so much for sharing that one. I want to thank you guys for coming on to share a little bit of Rinaldi's life and his experience and what you guys were able to take away from him and the impact that he made, not only to you guys, but the community in general. Again, making some saves. I know he helped people out there, but what I'd like you guys to do to finish this off is I just want you to give one little piece of something that reminds you or that he did that stands out to you today. And you're like, oh yeah. And I always think of Mike Rinaldi because of this. So let me start with Scott. Go ahead.
I always think of Mike, and every time July 25th comes around, he's always on my mind, and I try to, text Aggie, how you doing? Sometimes it doesn't happen, but yeah, I'm always aware of him. And like I said, the 25th is ingrained in my freaking head forever. So when that day comes up, it's like, so it's not just that day that I think about him. But,
right on.
He's missed, but not forgotten.
Exactly. What about you, Harold?
I think I might have said it earlier, but I try to be consistent doing pull-ups and always try to get better. And I'm telling you, when I grab that bar and do a pull-up, it kind of sticks with me about when he says, "Come on, man, Cancer Boy can do more pull-ups than you." So it does motivate me. It also makes me think just to keep in touch with, your shipmates and just keep in touch with them, because you never know what tomorrow holds. So, and let them know how you feel.
Right on. Right on. All right, Brad, what about you?
I just always remember how meticulous to detail he was. He was just very meticulous at everything he did. If you told Mike to do something, even though he was a new guy, it was like, don't worry about it. You got to show him what to do once, and he was good. Didn't have to worry about anything.
Right on. Perfect.
Plus, he's always happy. He's always in a good mood.
That's awesome. All right, Mike, what about you?
I just remember how he is willing to help anybody, no matter what. I think he had a saying that he was always like, whatever you need. You're in the need of something, he's going to be there to help you. Something after work, you need to show up here, go there, just this, help with that. He's willing to help. Stranger off the street, I swear he'd stop, take his time out of his day and help him. So I think of that a lot when someone's asking me for help, and he's kind of that encouragement to do the right thing.
That's awesome. All right, Aggie, you've kind of started this out, so finish this off.
I think it taught me that I need to live, live and experience life and enjoy it. And, because I saw how quickly it can be cut short. But he was always happy and wanting to explore. We don't go camping on our anniversary. That was the thing. And so, in different areas. So that's what I want to do. I want to travel and see things and live, because I'm like, no, that's how he would have lived.
That is perfect. Well, you guys, again, thank you so much for coming on and just sharing a little glimpse of Rinaldi's life. This is going to help so many others so they understand and know what a nice guy, what a great guy he was, and a fellow brother. So I appreciate all you guys.
Thanks.
I look forward to the next time we get together. And hopefully in person, we can hold one up for Rinaldi. All right?
Oh, thank you.
Thanks,
You're welcome. We've got a couple more stories here that a few of the others wanted to share. These are from some of the guys who couldn't make the recording, but still wanted to be a part of Remembering Mike. So here we go. This is Mike's dad, Mr. Mike Rinaldi Sr.
I got him. We had a 1974 Dodge Dart, and it had the big V8 in it, and him and his friends, they used to sit real low on it. They'd ride around town like a low rider. One day, I get a call from the tow truck driver, and he goes, "Mike, your son's got his car stuck off the road." And I said, "Oh God." He goes, "Well, this is not the first time he's had his car stuck off the road." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Let's put it this way. This summer, I could take my wife and my family to Disneyland or Disney World on all the money your son and his friends spent on us getting him out of the ditch." I'm like, "Are you serious?" He goes, "Yeah, yeah." Now we put him on the lift one time and we had to get corn cobs out from underneath it so you wouldn't see it. He said, "But this one's pretty unique, Mike. You might want to come and take a look at it." I'm like, "Well, where are you?" He told me what road he was on. I went out there, and I have never seen a car like this, because he said to me, he goes, "It's like almost like a Nassau rocket." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "You'll see." So I get there, and the car is literally standing on end, straight up in the air on the back fender. It looked like it was ready for takeoff. I'm like, "Oh my God, how did he get?" He goes, "I don't know. This is like the 10th time we had to tow that car out of the ditch." That was that story. And then another time, we were going to the Renaissance, and we would take the kids there every year. So this year, the year we went, Mike, he decided he was going to ask his girlfriend to go. So now there's me, his mom in the car. Brian's in the back seat with him, with Mike, and he's sitting next to his girlfriend. And he's fidgeting and twitching, and he's all nervous and stuff. So we're on the road, on the way there, and all of a sudden, I'm looking in the rearview mirror, and he's kind of struggling with something. He's moving around and thing there. And now his girlfriend is laughing her butt off. And I'm like, "Mike, what did you do?" And she goes, he got his fingers stuck in the Pepsi bottle. He couldn't get his finger out of the bottle, so I had to pull off the road, and we were laughing so hard. He was so embarrassed. He got his finger stuck in the bottle. I can't believe it, twitching around. And then another story, him and his friends, they were all rescue swimmers. They went to a bar. I think it was in Tom's River. I'm not sure where it was, but they went in there and they were going to play pool. And the locals there were kind of like, I don't know, they were funny characters. So they put their quarters on the bar, you know, and then they went to drinking, and then they came back. They said, "Well, aren't we up next?" And they go, "No, there's all these other people ahead of you." So they like, "No, we don't think so." And they said, "Yeah, there is." I said, "Oh, okay." So they went back to the bar, and then they came back about half hour later, and then they said, "Okay, well, that's our quarter there. We're up next." "Nope, no, it's not your quarter." So Mike's like, "It is our quarter," and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, but you guys are, your quarters are last." So Mike goes, "Oh, okay, I see." So he took his hand, put it on the pool table, and took all the quarters and threw them all on the floor. And then his buddies came over, and they're all pretty big boys. And these guys took one look at him, and Mike said, "I guess nobody's playing pool anymore right now." And that was the end of that. Yeah. And then another story about Mike. He loved his job. He really, I'll tell you, the Coast Guard was made for him. He really, really loved his job. I'm sure you heard he rescued a couple of people, a couple of fishermen. They were smoking cigarettes in the boat, and he had to get them in the water. He got one out, got another one out, and the next guy goes, "I'm not going in the water." So he just jumped up and threw his ass out of the boat in the water. So he rescued those three guys, and then he got to go to another call, but the guy was dead. They were salvaging something. It was a nice day, so it wasn't stormy, but he didn't give himself enough time, so he went down another 100 feet, and got the bends, and that was the end of him. Mike tried to revive him, but he was gone. I think that's all. That's the only rescues I think he was on, those two. Anyway, Mike, when he was in high school, we lived in Minnesota, so our boys were in hockey, and Mike got to he started as a junior in the goal. He was a goalie, and he did really, really well in his junior year. His senior year, the team was horrible, but in his junior year, he did very, very well. And when he was a bantam, we went to a tournament up in Hibbing, Evelyn, Duluth, up in Minnesota, and those are hockey play. They always get state championships and stuff. We went up there, and that little shit, he was he played this team. I don't know which town it was in, but you don't come from the south and go up there and shut a team down. They didn't score one goal on him, and they couldn't believe it. They actually went up to him, and the other team went over, shook his hand. They couldn't believe it. That was probably his best year. And then his junior year, it wasn't too bad. But then the kids start to catch up to you. So when you're playing hockey, if you're in, you might be 14 years old, that might be your best year, and you might be destroying everybody. Mike was a bantam, and he was literally destroying everybody. Junior year was a little tougher, but he didn't do too bad. But then in his senior year, his team went just downhill, and he was getting so many shots on goal, and he was actually keeping them in the game, but you can only do so much. And then we played Red Wing, and Red Wing was a really tough town, and we get there to play him. So Mike got so sick of having one-on-ones, nobody. They would just grab the puck and head down, and now there's one on nobody. So he'd have to stop that person, stop the next person. So he got so mad that even his coach said, he goes, I have never seen anybody check somebody that bad. He saw the guy coming, a big defenseman was heading down towards him. Mike came out of the net, went all the way to the top of the circle. That is way out of the net. And he checked the guy and it sent him over top of him. He lost his glove and his stick. He got up and skated back and dove and made another save. The place went nuts. They really did. They were actually chanting his name when that happened. Even the coach said, I have never seen a goalie check somebody that bad. And they didn't call it because it was a check. So he just let him go. But then he got in the Coast Guard. You guys had the hockey thing going on, boot hockey. And so they found out that Mike was a goalie in Minnesota. So they said, Mike, you want to be our goalie? So he said, yeah, that'd be cool. So now he's not on skates. So, I mean, it's a piece of cake now. They couldn't score on him. And he went to the championship game and he shut him down. And the guys that made comments said that it was like there was a plastic shield in front of the entire net. They couldn't. So I think they won like 1-0 or something like that. But they decided to make the most valuable player. Brian has the award too. He could show you that. You might be able to go online or find somebody in the Coast Guard that knows this. But it's the Admiral's Cup. The Admiral's Cup. It's the Mike Rinaldi's most valuable player Admiral's Cup. That's what it's called now. They named it after him. So I figured that was one story I almost forgot, but that's a good one. So, and then another story. This one is kind of this one might take me a little bit of time to say it, but he he got his first motorcycle. I told him he couldn't have a motorcycle, even though I had 30 motorcycles. But I didn't want to have anything happen, and I introduced him to the sport. So I said, when you leave the house, you can get a motorcycle. So he got in the Coast Guard. He had a off-road, on-road motorcycle, and he rode that, and then he sold that, and then he got the he got the ZX11. At that time, it was with Kawasaki. It was in the bike was in 1993, and I think he bought it in like 95 or something like that. I can't remember. He had the bike for a few years. It was the fastest production motorcycle made at the time. it would do 175. And he would when he went to New York, when he was in Massachusetts, he would go riding with his uncle. I never went riding with him. Like I said, I didn't want to introduce him to the world of motorcycling. And then he did go down one time right next to a semi. I can't believe nothing happened to him. He was okay. Um, so he liked the ZX11, but it only came in one color each year. So he liked it in black. 93, it came in black. He went to trade his bike in on he went to get tires on his motorcycle, and the dealership was in the Toms River area in New Jersey when he was stationed there. He was getting tires put on it, and the salesman came out and said, you should probably think about trading that in. And Mike goes, well, I don't think so. I like the bike. It only comes in one color each year. He goes, well, we have it on the showroom floor. It's in black. So he goes, oh, let me take a look at it. Anyway, make a long story short, he bought it. So he traded that bike in. His friend in the Coast Guard went to the dealership and bought his trade-in bike. So now they're both on ZX11s. So Mike, he was a pretty good rider. He wasn't, he was pretty good. He came out of the gym. He took he was like me, ride the motorcycle, rain, shine, snow, doesn't matter. He came out of the gym and it was drizzling, and on his way home, a lady in front of him they were coming to like a T, and like they were on a straightaway, but there was another road coming to the left into that road. So she put her blinker on to turn right when there's no road there. There's only a road on the left-hand side. So she pulls off to the side. So the people behind Mike said they saw the whole accident. He went to go around her, and she shot out, took him out, sent him into a telephone pole, and he was in the EMT in paramedics while part-time while he was while he was in the station in the Coast Guard. So paramedics that showed up, well, they see him there, they know him, he worked with them, and they're trying to keep him alive, but they got him to the hospital, but he had ruptured his that main vein down by your leg, so they didn't know that, and so he basically bled out. And the lady that caused the accident, I don't know how old she was. She was probably in her 80s or something like that. I would say probably maybe 5 or 6 months later, she dies of natural causes. It's like, oh my God, it just can't get any worse. So, I mean, I didn't do anything, I'm not a person to want to sue people. I mean, what are you going to do? It was an accident, probably her fault. So, Aggie, his wife, decided to have the military funeral. So when Mike was stationed there, he knew a lot of the guys that were there. And it was an Air Force base too, I think. So some of his buddies they did a flyover, and one of his buddies, I mean, it was in the base in the warehouse. His helicopter was there, and one of his buddies, when they were in training to become in the Coast Guard, he was having trouble, and Mike was pushing him along, trying to get him, and then he had to do that one last race or whatever that was, and he had to finish it, and so Mike finished his race, but then ran with him and kept pushing him along, pushing him along. You got to do this. You got to do this. He made it, and a couple of others friends, so they became pretty close. So when the accident happened, those guys, well, one of them for sure was in the color guard for the White House. Um, so they got permission to um, show up, uh, and they did their thing, whatever they did, and it was pretty intense. Um, And then after that, I got to meet the captain, and he took me around, walked me around, and because I was there once before, and and lo and behold, his son was killed. I think he was 16 or something like that. I don't know what happened to him. So he kind of helped me out. He said it was 10 or 12 years ago at that time. So we talked about it, and it really helped. I didn't go to counseling. Counseling doesn't help me. Can't bring him back. Then I'm just wasting my time. So it took me a long time to get over it. Years and years and years. And still, you can see it was 26 years later. Still isn't sitting right. But when we got to the cemetery, about a few days later, maybe a week later, um, it was up in Schenectady. I think it was military, um, the military thing up there, the cemetery, and so his crew got permission to run 3 helicopters up from New Jersey, his helicopter too, all the way up there, and they did that routine that they do, the where they have they fly overhead and then they go way out and then they come back in and then they shot their guns off and stuff. So it was all pretty intense. And then when when we were ready to leave, everybody was walking out. Well, while we were there during the ceremony, I looked up and I'm like, Brian, my son Brian, I said, what do you notice that's different? And he goes, I don't know. I said, look up at the sky. I said, the sun is out. There's a thunderstorm. It's lightning, and it's starting to rain. I'm like, what? So we looked around, and sure enough, sun was shining, but it was starting to rain a little bit. And then it stopped, but there was lightning that we saw. And it was really unusual because you would never expected a storm like that to happen like that. Sun shining and there's a storm. So now everybody is leaving the cemetery. We're walking to our cars. And don't you think the sprinkler system goes on and starts soaking everybody? They were all laughing, thinking that it was, Mike's way of saying goodbye and stuff. So anyway, that's what you have to, as a parent, that's what you deal with. Um, those memories. It's kind of like I always tell people that, that have had that they're losing their kid or lost their kid. I always tell them that you now belong to a club that nobody wants to join. They don't want to join that club, but you're in it. There's nothing you can do about it. I've had other people lose kids. Our neighbor, when we lived in New York, and Mark and Darlene lost their son. Um, and she came to our house because she knew I lost mine, and she said, "Mike, you're gonna have to get me through this." And I'm like, "Jeez, good luck. I'm not even through mine. How am I gonna help you?" But I tried as much as I could. But believe it or not, that lady actually, her and her husband, actually helped me out. And they just lost their son, and I lost mine like probably 15 years ago when that happened. And they were very religious. Um, they believed in God. Um, they handled it much better than I did, and that helped me out because seeing how they handled it in just such a short time, and me struggling with it for the past 16 years, and not even having a picture in my house, not even talking about it. I couldn't talk about it. Um, and then when it was 2018, I decided that enough is enough. So I put a couple of pictures on the refrigerator. They're still there. And I have some pictures out now in the house of him. There's one picture of him on the bike that I have, and one picture of him on the bike that he was killed on. Oh, and his friend, when it happened, said, Mr. Rinaldi, you want to buy his bike? the one that he traded in, because I can't keep the bike. So I did. I bought the bike from him. I brought it home. I put it in the garage. I went to wash it one time, and that was a total disaster. I couldn't ride it. I couldn't look at it, so I kept a blanket over top of it. Um, and then when we moved out to we moved to New York because I left Minnesota. I brought the bike with me, sat in the garage for a long, long time. Some of my friends from Minnesota said, Mike, if you're not going to use the bike, you better sell it, So I'm like, nah. So me and my son Mike, we talked about some of the mods that he wanted to do on the bike. So I ended up taking it out, spending a lot, not a lot of money, but I did a lot of the mods that he wanted done to it. And now it's in my garage. I use it rarely, but I do ride it. But it's a '93, and it literally looks brand new. I mean, I really polished it up. I powder coated the wheels because they were getting a little dull. I got a really nice exhaust system on it. People that look at it really like it. He had a purple windshield on it, and it cracked. It took me 2 years to find a purple windshield for it. Got that put on, so it's looking really really nice. So anyway, that's about all the other stories I have. Yeah, I can. That one was a tough one to tell. Um, but I guess that's it.
This is Mike's younger brother, Brian, and he wanted to share a few more stories with us.
As kids, Mike could be a little prankster. I remember him telling me, yeah, that electrical wire is not on. He's like, just touch it, as he stood about 10 feet behind me. I had a little too much trust in him sometimes, and I grabbed that wire and it was totally on, and he thought that was pretty hilarious. Mike was amazing. He always looked after me. I always felt safe when I was with him. My freshman year was was the best year I had in school because my older brother was a senior, so we were in high school together, which was awesome. I remember us going to school together in his Ford pickup truck. He drove us to school, and we got there early, walking down the hallway together, and yeah, that was pretty cool. The same year, I got to play hockey alongside of him too. He was my idol, senior varsity goaltender, and I was in my first year of high school hockey. And I remember one practice, some kid was bothering me and pestering me on the ice, and when Mike found out, he ran over and grabbed that kid, and that kid never freaking messed with me ever again. Another time, he'd spent the whole morning, maybe afternoon, who knows, farting in a Pringles container and putting the lid back on. And eventually he asked me if I wanted some Pringles. I said, sure. And he opened the lid right next to my face. I will never forget that frickin' smell. That jackass. It used to be the four brothers when we were running around town and out here in Minnesota. It was Mike and myself, and then Cam and Walker. Those two were brothers, and Walker and Mike were best friends, and Cam Edmonds and me, we were best friends, and the four of us hung out quite often, and drove around town and got into trouble here and there. But yeah, those were awesome days, awesome times. I remember Cam walk, Mike and me, we went into our hay loft. Our hay loft was full of hay from the floor to the ceiling. And we were gonna, I think it was Cam and I's idea to make a fort. And like Cam and I would build one fort and walk, and Mike would build another fort nearby. But Cam and I had a little window we could see out of, and Walker and Mike it was pitch black. And so Cam and I started building our fort, and after about, 20 minutes or so, we were like, let's go check on those guys, and we started making our way over there. I was in front, and it was just a tiny little path we could go through, and it was pitch black, and Cam and Walker were saying, it's just a little further, we're right over here, and so I kept going, and I felt with my hands, and I felt a little open, so I figured that's where they were building their fort. So I just went a little further, and I ended up sliding all the way down. Well, not sliding, but I ended up falling all the way to the floor. I guess the two of them decided not to make a fort. They wanted to make a pit, so that me and Cam would fall into the pit, and it would be hilarious. And I don't know how I didn't get hurt slamming my face on the hay bales on the way down, but I was okay. They must have thrown a little bit of hay on the bottom, but yep, I thought that was freaking hilarious. It was pretty hilarious. Well, when Mike first joined the Coast Guard, he didn't like being in the Coast Guard. He wanted to come home. He wanted to quit and come home. He was telling my mom on the phone. I remember I was still in high school, and he wanted out. He was on a Coast Guard ship. Coast Guard cutter to home, and he was miserable. And shortly after that, he found out about the rescue swimmers, and instantly his mindset changed, and he was all about the Coast Guard and determined to get in. And sure enough, he puts his mind to something, he can accomplish a lot, and he did it. I know the academic part was a major struggle for him, but that's what my mom was saying. He was worried about that part, but he got through it, and the physical part, and he made it. So proud of him. We're all very, very, very proud of him. Mike was the greatest older brother anybody could ask for. He was my best friend. His family, his mom and dad, and myself, and cousins and uncles and grandparents, we just love him. We just love him.
This is Eric Mueller, United States Coast Guard rescue swimmer, number 444, and Mike's classmate.
Rinaldi, Michael Rinaldi. He was a kind, funny, just engaged, curious, wonderful human being. And I had the opportunity to meet him and train with him. And we had 4 people in the end that graduated. It was December 1997, class 1898. There were 4 of us. There's Charles Barron, myself, Mike Rinaldi, and Ryan Wright. Barron spent most of his time. He had a wife. He was an awesome athlete, great runner. But mainly it was the three of us that stuck around, and a lot of things happened on the weekends, obviously. So we became pretty close. First time I met Rinaldi, our senior class was finishing up or close to it. And I think it was Al Yates, maybe Odell, came in and said, "Hey, you guys got to figure out who's picking up Mike Rinaldi." And we're like, okay. I didn't have a car there at the time. And so I had been in the honor guard with Steve Garcia, who had a small Nissan truck, heavily tinted windows, probably way illegal. And it was a manual. So I asked Steve if I could borrow his truck, since we knew one another through the honor guard. He said no problem. So I started my way to Norfolk to pick him up at the international airport. Showed up. He was right there at the curb. Introduced myself. And I went to grab his bag to throw it into the back of the truck. And our hands kind of touched. And when they touched, he kind of jerked his hand away, and I kind of took note of it, thought it was kind of funny. So got in the truck, pulling out of the airport. It was a stick. So I shifted gear 1, gear 2, gear 3. And when I shifted into 4th, his leg was kind of over by the knob of the shifter. And my hand kind of touched his knee. And he jerked his knee away and got as far to the passenger door as he could. And, his voice was kind of shaky when he was talking to me. So I saw an opportunity to have a little fun with him. So we're driving along. It's pretty quiet, awkward conversation, since we really didn't know one another. And he made a comment that, "Man, these windows are really dark." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "You can't see in them. I mean, they're black." And he got really quiet, started some small talk. We told one another where we were from. And as we were going along, I shifted. Didn't really need to shift, but I shifted again. His leg had relaxed back to the back near the shift knob. And I made a point to touch his leg again. So he jerked it away. And this time he stayed, glued to the passenger door the whole time. So we drove through, there's a stretch of swamp, I think. And, I made some comment that, yeah, these things are so dark, these windows. I mean, you couldn't even see what was happening in this truck even if you tried. And he changed the subject. So we eventually got to the base, and we went to go and he got his bag, and I told him which room he was in. And but I didn't share with him that I was his roommate. So he went into the donut. He started getting his clothes out, and I think I ran down to Ryan Wright's room, told him what I was doing, and we got a little laugh out of it. So I popped in, asked him how he was doing, and he asked, when or if he had a roommate. And I said, "Oh, yeah, it's me." So he kind of got quiet, and you could tell he was a little uncomfortable. And, we made small talk again, and he unloaded all his stuff, and he was kind of nervous, like we all were, asking, some questions and stuff. So we went to bed, and we were just laying there, and I let a few minutes pass. And I asked him a question, and Mike was always curious. I mean, he gave a lot of thought to things. And so I asked him, I'm like, "Hey, I got a question for you." Room's pitch dark. I said, "When you wake up in the morning, do you wake up on your back or your stomach?" And you could tell he was thinking hard about it. And there was a few maybe seconds that passed, and he's like, that's an interesting question. I've never thought about that before." He's like, "I'm pretty sure, yeah, I wake up on my back." And I said in response, "Well, tomorrow morning you're going to wake up on your stomach." And it was total silence. I didn't say anything more. I just went to bed. And later on, Mike tells me that he got in a fetal position and put his backside towards the wall. So that was a story. I didn't even know him, but I mean, he's such later on, it's just a story I tell along with some other ones about Mike that is just so funny. Then the next one, Ryan and we went out to Thumpers quite a bit. It's a local bar, eatery. Al Yates hung out there quite a bit. Mike was busy, planning a wedding with Aggie. And I mean, he loved her dearly. He talked about her constantly. And he planned everything. Invited us to the wedding. Well, the after wedding. Big house, elevator. Ryan Wright and I have some stories about that whole scene. But Mike was just so energetic and eager to meet people and talk to people, introduce us to his family. But back to the Thumper story, later on in training, the senior class was getting ready to leave. Then there was our class, and they had planned a day where we would do our swims, our pull-ups, our push-ups on the grinder, and then do our run. And the last person to come in was the group's time. So for the junior class, whoever came in last, that was the group's time. Senior class, same thing. So, we thought it was not going to be that tough of a day. So Ryan and I think Mike joined us. He didn't drink, but he joined us. And while we were sitting there, Al Yates, I believe, was over there, and he kind of was eyeing us. But Mike got a little nervous like he does. And he's like, hey, man, I think we should leave. Hey, I don't think this is a good idea. But Ryan Wright and we talked him into sticking around. So if I remember right, at least Ryan tells me, I had a chicken Cajun pizza and maybe 1 or 2 Guinness. And went to bed that night. I wasn't feeling too good, but I figured it would pass. Woke up in the morning, Mike's all ready to go. He's like, man, you ready? You ready to run? You ready? We're gonna do a great job. And all energetic. And I'm like, man, my stomach's not feeling too good. And he's like, no, Mueller, you got this. I'm like, He's like, and so we got out there and we started our PT. I believe we ran from the clubhouse along the airstrip and to the pool. We changed, we did our swim, and during the swim, my stomach was growling. It wasn't feeling good at all. And I was keeping up with Mike. All of us were pretty much in the same pack. Then once I stretched out on the pull-up bar, my stomach was really growling and making noises, and this wasn't good. And Mike was doing his pull-ups next to me, and he would look over, and I think it might have been Thor Wentz or Al or maybe Odell was sitting there, and someone I think it was Thor, made a comment. He's like, what was that? And Mike, while he's doing his pull-ups, just, he was great at pull-ups. He just, Mueller's stomach hurts him. So we started our run back in that long stretch on the airline. Like, you got the river on the right, and then you got the flight line on the left, and then I think he had a pump house or something there. I mean, I'm running, and it's hurting. And Mike's running right next to me, and he starts running backwards. That's how bad I was doing it. He starts running backwards. He's like, what's wrong with you, man? Come on. I know you can do it. And he's running backwards. And I know either Al Yates or one of the trainers is watching us with binoculars, maybe over by the gym. And I'm like, turn around, man. Turn around. What's wrong, man? What's wrong with you? And I would just turn around. I go, I think I'm going to shit myself. He's like, what? He's like, you're not going to shit yourself. And I'm like, dude, why would I say I'm going to shit myself? Why would anyone tell you that they're going to shit yourself? And he's like, come on, man, come on. So it got to the point where I shit myself. And I started running. Obviously, I was running fast. And Mike was cheering me on, going, that's right, man, that's more like you. And we're flying along. He's, him and I are going neck to neck. Brandon, he was like Forrest Gump. He was way ahead of us, and Ryan was a little bit behind us. And I can honestly not remember if I was last. I don't believe I was. I might have been. I might have been. I mean, I've never ran with shit in my pants before, but so once Rinaldi knew I was okay, he took off, and I tried my best to keep up with Rinaldi. I was 245 pounds with shit in my pants, and Rinaldi was just cheering me on the whole time. And I ran up to that locker room, and I didn't stop. And I think it was Yates or Odell or someone was just screaming at me, telling me to stop. Get back here, get back here. And I was like, ah. And I just kept running. I ran to the shower house, the gym, and I tore off my clothes. I put them in the dumps or the trash, and I'm in there showering. And Rinaldi and Ryan walk in. And Rinaldi, I mean, he's like that chicken hawk in the cartoon, what are we gonna do next? What are we gonna do next? What's going on? And he comes in, he's like, hey, great job, man. What happened? I'm like, I told you, I shit myself. He's like, you didn't shit yourself. And Ryan's like, you did not. And I'm like, why would anyone say they shit themselves? And they're like kind of sitting there, and Rinaldi's like, he was great with facial expressions. I mean, his thoughts were in his face. And he's just pondering the whole thing. And I'm like, if you don't believe me, look in that trash can. And he's like, I'm going to look in the trash can. And I'm like, okay, look in the trash can. So he looks, he's like, holy shit, you shit yourself. Ryan starts laughing, and I'm like, man, could you guys get me some clothes? I don't have any more. I didn't bring any extra clothes with me. I wasn't planning on doing this. Ryan starts laughing. Rinaldi, they're laughing. And I know they're going to go out and tell everyone. I don't have a problem with it. So they go out there, and they come back, and they have Rinaldi's clothes. I'm 6'5". Rinaldi's, at my top of his head's at my shoulders. That's, and so I squeezed into his pants, and I squeezed into his shirt. And I mean, the bottom of his shirt didn't even cover my belly button. And so I come walking out, and obviously Ryan and Rinaldi had told everyone that I shit myself. And everyone started clapping and started cheering the Poopy Pants Mueller. Poopy Pants Mueller, Poopy Pants. And Rinaldi just thought it was and I do too, but Rinaldi thought it was the funniest thing. He just could not stop laughing. And of course, after that, I got some normal clothes on, and then we played volleyball all day, and I think they had a keg of beer there, and we just had a great time. Then of course, we graduate, and we go our own way, and obviously everyone wants to, get qualified on their airframes, and we're still competitive. One would have a rescue, and we'd call one another and say, hey man, I got this many points. I think the max for, you could get 10 points towards your service wide if you were to, get some awards. So we friendly banter back and forth. And then of course, Mike told me he had had a bout with cancer, and he beat that. And then unfortunately, then I got a call. Sorry. I think it was Ryan, maybe. I don't know who it was, but I was stationed in Detroit, and I got a call, and that they were going to have a memorial. So my chief at the time let me take off, and I drove overnight. I got to Atlantic City, and I apologize. I'm not good with names, but I met a lot of the shops. Spent the night at one of the swimmers' apartments, I believe. The honor guard was there, and I was pretty proud of that, since I was once a member. It was a well put together ceremony. Sorry. but he was a unique guy. Man, getting old, I guess. He was a unique individual and hard worker, do anything for you. I mean, he'd talk to anyone. But he's never forgotten. Boy, I have pictures above my desk of him. I took a snapshot of a few of them. He was a one of a kind.
This is Ryan Wright, U.S. Coast Guard rescue swimmer number 446, and one of Mike's other classmates.
So yeah, when I first met Mike, we all got to school. There were 6 of us who started. We were in indoctrination that first week, and we're, it's like day 2 or 3, and we're getting into it, and do this, don't do that, you get in trouble if you do this, and you have medical conditions and all that stuff. And they said, "Oh, does anybody have any questions?" And Mike, and I think he was serious, he goes, "Yeah. When do we get our flippers?" And everybody was just like, "What?" We all looked at him like, "Dude," and everyone was trying to be cool. Everyone was trying to be really cool because we didn't want to look like a fool in front of it. That was funny. So then, of course, for the rest of school, and to this day, I'm like, "Hey, where's my flippers? Anybody see my flippers?" So that was pretty funny. That's when we first started to, all get to know each other and stuff like that. But so.
Nearly drowning.
The other thing was that the 4 of us who did make it through school, it was Eric, myself, Mike, and Chuck. Chuck had brought his wife, and he was very straight-laced, and his wife was in Virginia Beach, so he was, whenever school was out, Chuck was gone. So it was just the 3 of us. It was myself and Eric and Mike was sort of like our little brother. We just picked on him all the time.
Especially about his homophobia.
Well, yeah, Eric figured out right away that he was homophobic, and so every chance we got, we would try to let him catch Eric and I, with our shirts off, massaging each other, or whatever, stuff like that. And he was just always like, "God, you guys, come on, man." And that was really funny that we spent a lot of time doing that. When we could, and let's see what else. What was so funny? I remember one day that we went to the pool. We were pretty far into school, so things were getting pretty serious. And Mike, he was a really strong athlete. He was a really strong-minded person, and he was in great shape and everything. But he wasn't very big. Anyway, he was struggling one day, I think he was hypoxic or whatever, and he made it to the edge of the pool, and the 3 of us grabbed him and pulled him up onto the pool deck, and the instructors were like, "Is he all right?" And he's just like half out of it, he's mumbling, and we're like, "He's okay." And they're like, "Take him to the locker room." So we literally carried him to the locker room in his gear. He was just like, he was just limp. And then another time during multis at the end, we were all in there. We're nervous, and they're out on the pool deck, and they're, the instructors are making all kinds of noise and stuff, and they make it like you're really nervous. So I forget who started it. We all started singing the national anthem in the shower, and because it had great acoustics in there. And then you could hear the instructors, they started singing the national anthem too on the pool deck. And that was pretty funny. But yeah, even though, we carried him out of the pool into the locker room that day, Mike never even thought for a moment of quitting. He was just that kind of a person. Well, I think that's all I have.
Mike Rinaldi.
From
what I've heard, was a very good man.
He was a good man. Yeah. It's true.
This is Britt Durham, U.S. Coast Guard rescue swimmer number 494, stationed with Mike Rinaldi in Atlantic City, New Jersey.
I showed up as an airman to Air Station Atlantic City in, June of 1999, rolling into Y2K. I knew I'd be at A school during that time period. Mike was one of the first guys I met when I got to the air station, when I checked into the air station. Mike Stollard was my mentor. So Mike Rinaldi and Mike Stollard were really good friends. In fact, we used to call them the Mikes. Stollard was a hard ass. Definitely was on the grind with me all the time. Awesome guy. Put me through the paces correctly. Rinaldi was a bit more fun. I used to fake throwing up during runs, and Mike would run the tar out of me. And I'd be like, oh man, I'm getting sick. And Mike knew I wasn't going to get sick. And he would go to just ripping me apart. And Rinaldi, I remember this one specific time that Rinaldi, I looked back and Rinaldi gave me a little wink. And he started talking about Mike. He started talking to Mike about something, and it peeled his attention off of me. And I knew right then and there, I was like, all right, this guy's got my back. I was the first airman to graduate, second airman to go to Atlantic City, first airman to actually graduate and come back. And when I got back, it was awesome. Shop was killer. I mean, we had Brad Torrens was the chief. Harold Hoffmaster was the first. I mean, it doesn't get much better than Triple H. We had Brian Doolittle, of course, Rinaldi, Stollard, one of my favorite human beings on earth, Rob Nelson. He was there. We just had a really good shop. I have John Williams. He retired with just the same kind of way that I'm going to with 30 years. And I hear from him probably once a year. Awesome guy. But Rinaldi got me into motorcycles. Aaron Brown was another guy in the shop. He was big into motorcycles. And between him and Rinaldi, they talked me right into it. And what's funny is in your intro, you show Mike with picture with one of his motorcycles. So that was a motorcycle that I actually bought. So Mike, before I bought a motorcycle, Mike took his old ZX11, which had that smoke purple windshield on it, and he took that up and traded that in on a brand new ZX11. That's a big bike. It's a sport touring bike, so you're not like sitting all the way crouched over all the time. And I always liked that about Mike's bikes, is they seem more comfortable to me. So I went to that same shop by myself with the intention of getting like a ZX6, like a 600, like an entry-level bike. And sure enough, what did I do? I walked out of there buying Mike's old bike. So I had Mike's old bike. And that day I remember talking to him, and I don't know that he ever laughed as hard around me, but I didn't know how to ride these things. So I go to the shop by myself. I buy this bike. I leave, and I do like 20 miles an hour the entire way home. And it was like a 45-minute ride home. I had like a line of probably 50 cars behind me, 2.5 miles, 3 miles long, all beeping, raising Cain. But you were not convincing me to go over like 20 miles an hour. I was terrified. And over the next couple months, Mike was really good about teaching me how to ride. He used to make me go out when it was like drizzling rain. So him and I could ride around, and he could, he said, hey, eventually you're going to get caught in something like this. You want to know how to ride in this. So that was my time that I got to spend with him. Most memorable, I remember, and I don't know if it was Aaron. It may have been Aaron Brown that came with us, but I know it was Mike and I. We did an epic trip, left Atlantic City, took back roads and beach roads all the way up to Cape May, into Wildwood. And then we came back the Garden City Parkway, and I remember going like 120 miles an hour. And it was, you talk about exhilarating. It was amazing. It was an amazing night, one that I'll never forget. We stopped at all these different places. We had dinner, and we'd stop at these little pull-offs. And it was just a really awesome night that we got to share together. And, Mike was just, he was just salt of the earth. He was, in the time that I remember him, the short period of time that I got to spend with him, I never witnessed him get upset or angry, never lost his temper. He was kind to everyone. And I tell you this, man, he loved his life. He loved his wife. He loved Aggie. He loved his buddies. You know, him and Stoller were almost inseparable for that period of time. Yeah, I remember he's really, really close with his dad. In fact, his dad called me after Mike passed. I was with Dave Beecham. We were on a ride. It was right after this spring thaw, and there's still a lot of salt on the roads. And there was like 5 or 6 of us that went out for a ride. And Dave Beecham had his cruiser, and we were coming off of this turn. And I laid my bike down. It caught some of that sand, and I just couldn't catch up with it. And I ended up laying it down and flipped it a couple times. And I stood up and I was all right. But I broke the triple tree off of it and really just marred the tar out of it. So, of course, you file an insurance claim. It went into the shop to get fixed. And Mike's dad called me. And he was like, hey, I understand that you have Mike's original bike. And I said, yeah, I crashed it, but it's in the shop. And he wanted to buy it from me. Yeah, I gladly sold it to him. So he had it. As soon as it came out of the shop, it was shiny new. We made sure everything was exactly the way Mike had it. Even with that, that crazy purple smoked out windscreen on there. But yeah, I was at home. I remember that like it was yesterday. I got the call from Rob Nelson, and it woke me up in the middle of the night, and it was very emotional. And when you told something like that, such a young age for me, I didn't know how to process it. I didn't know what to do. I wasn't sure exactly what I should be doing, but it was crazy unexpected, and for it to happen the way that it happened. The safest human being on earth, in my opinion, on a motorcycle was Mike. So we knew as soon as I heard that, I knew somebody had made a mistake that ended up costing Mike his life. He's one of those people that just made such an impression on me at such a young age that I could only imagine what he would have been in my life had I had his mentorship and his friendship continue on throughout those years. Just absolute amazing guy. I'm sure he would have been, awesome husband. He would have been a phenomenal father. Definitely missed. I ran into Rob Nelson in Savannah. He lives up in Savannah. I ran into him years later, actually at a dog vet, which I'm a huge fan of Rob. Phenomenal guy. But I ran into him, and we talked about Rinaldi, and it was definitely cool. It was definitely cool to kind of bring all those memories up and try to see where everybody's at. I left the swimmer rate in 15 with 18 years. So I did 16 years in the swimmer rate, 18 years total. I left that, came over to the dark side, and have been here ever since. I'll retire in 28 with 31 years as a W4. Definitely a blessed career, getting to meet people at the caliber of Rinaldi and those guys in the shop. I would say Atlantic City was not my favorite place or my favorite air station. Without a doubt, that was my favorite group of individuals to work with. Harold, Aaron, Brian, Dave Hoover came in there after Brad Torrens, Dave Beecham, Rinaldi, Stoller. We had a great time. We truly had a great time. But yeah, one of a kind human being I'll never forget. So,
as a way to close this episode, we honor our brother with a tradition familiar to every U.S. Coast Guard rescue swimmer. When deploying using a free fall method, we follow a sequence. Each movement, a silent tribute to trust, teamwork, and purpose. A tap on the floor signals us to move to the door. A tap to the chest, a signal to release our restraint. 3 taps to the shoulder, a signal that when we are ready, we deploy. To United States Coast Guard rescue swimmer number 445, Mike Rinaldi, here are your 3 taps. Swimmers away. May you have clear blue skies, a strong tailwind, and great seas to swim in. We will miss you, brother. Go. Now, it's time for me to pull chocks and take off. But before I go, I'm always looking for the memorable rescues that people have done. If you have one that you're willing to share or know somebody who has a story, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to highlight it here at the Real ResQ. For everybody that is standing by for that SAR alarm, remember, those in distress are praying for a miracle. They are going to get you. So until next time, fly safe and swim hard.